We just heard Wendy's situation is getting way worse than Britney Spears, and it don't help that her bestie, Regina Schell, out here saying she real worried about the guardianship Wendy's under.
When I was in New York and staying with Wendy in the summer, I noticed when she would call, she had no access to her money, so every time she had to do anything that she had to pay for, she had to go through the guard.
And this ain't the first time Regina's been tripping about it. All this guardianship drama been a problem from the start. And if you remember, Wendy was loud about how the guardianship she filed was troubled before she dipped from the public.
My thing is that I've been asking questions about my money. And when I began asking questions about my money, suddenly Lori Schiller has got no response regarding my money. I want my money. This is not fair. And Wells Fargo has no questions and answers with regarding my money. This is not fair.
What happened was Wendy's bank, Wells Fargo, froze her accounts and filed a petition for a guardianship hearing for Wendy in early 2022. And in a complaint against the bank for freezing her accounts, her lawyer said Wendy's old financial advisor told Wells Fargo she wasn't in her right mind, which made the bank lock her out. Wells Fargo had referenced its authority to freeze her account pending judicial or administrative remedies should they suspect financial exploitation, dementia, or undue influence. And eventually, Wendy got placed in a court-appointed guardianship under attorney Sabrina Morrissey. But clearly, this guardianship ain't working the way everyone in Wendy's life thought it would. And that includes her bestie, Regina. See, Regina had talked about how she stayed with Wendy for most of 2022. And even said that at one point, she, Wendy's sister Wanda Finney, and the Guardian were all teaming up to help Wendy out. She said that when she was staying with Wendy in the summertime, they were all in touch with Sabrina. But then she kind of vanished, Regina said. That's when the drama started, and they even had trouble getting Wendy's food deliveries on time. Apparently, Wendy would order food at like 7:30 in the morning, and breakfast wouldn't show up until 11:30. And by then, she was already ready for lunch.
Wendy wouldn't have any food. And when I went back to LA, I would have to send her food from Los Angeles to New York through delivery service because she wasn't getting the communication.
Well, now Regina's back and saying the situation with Wendy has only gone downhill. First off, she pointed out that Wendy's guardian, Sabrina Morrissey, was court-appointed and a stranger to Wendy before taking control of her life in 2022. According to Regina, this is some Britney Spears type mess. Only it's worse because it ain't even Wendy's family holding the reins. She said that, at least with Britney, it was her dad, her family. But in Wendy's case, this is a woman who ain't even family. Regina's saying she just can't wrap her head around the end game here. Because if it was up to her, Wendy would be surrounded by friends and family right now, not isolated and all alone. Okay, here's something else Regina spilled. Before the guardianship, Wendy was out there looking for real estate and talking to a financial expert at Bank of America, trying to get a grip on her finances. So Regina really can't get how Wendy went from being at least 90% in control to now being labeled as incapacitated and unable to see anyone. And y'all, that ain't even the half of it. Regina also said she thinks Wendy's being forced to keep quiet because the Wendy she knows would never be this silent. She said, "I want people to know that Wendy is a real person and this is not some karma. Talking is Wendy's life. Her whole claim to fame is talking, and I don't think she would be this quiet unless she was forced to be quiet. I haven't spoken to my friend who I spoke to 5 times a day in over a year now. She's somewhere that she can't reach a phone because Wendy can always get to the phone, because if she could get to a phone, she'd be calling me. It's got a sinister vibe to it. That's what gets me. There's something about it that just doesn't feel right. There's no sign of her beyond a statement that was made, which doesn't sound like her at all. And why hasn't a medical team come forward to talk about her dementia diagnosis? I mean, Regina is making a whole lot of sense. Because even other Wendy watchers know there ain't no way she would have stayed quiet about that Lifetime documentary with all her family members in it. Remember, these same concerns Regina's been hollering about were also voiced by Wendy's family members who talked to People magazine. They said they don't even know where Wendy's being treated, what kind of treatment she's getting, and they can't contact her directly. They only hear from Wendy if she calls them. And Wanda even specifically said, the people who love her cannot see her. I think the big question is, how the hell did we get here? The family members also said they blamed the lack of communication on Wendy's guardian, who was kept under wraps for a while. And according to the fam, the guardian's the only one with full access to Wendy Williams. Alex Finney was even on The View saying they had no say in the guardianship, no way to let Wendy know what was happening in the family. Most times it took up to 2 months for the guardian to get back to them with any info. All they know is Wendy and her team walked into court one day, walked out, and the family got left out in the cold. Baby, it's one thing for all these folks to be in the dark, but for Wendy's son, Kevin Jr., to also not know what's going on, that's gotta be real worrying. And we even had a source spilling the tea about Kev Jr. Kevin has spoken to his mom occasionally, and he knows she's in some sort of treatment facility, but he's not sure exactly what it is or where it is. He is also questioning if she's getting the care she really needs. I mean, even Wendy's ex-husband, Kevin Hunter, was grumbling about Sabrina, and you know it's bad when he's got something to say. His main gripe was that Sabrina wasn't handing out the alimony, but Kevin also mentioned that there was something shady with Wendy's finances. Honey, I might not see eye to eye with him on a lot of things, but on this one, I was on Kevin Hunter's side when he took Wendy back to court. Here's what he laid out in the court documents. On December 8, 2022, I attended a mediation with one of these counsel, and Wendy's New York court appointed guardian attorney Sabrina Morrissey. And at that mediation, Wendy's counsel and guardian agreed to provide statements to accounts and bank records. They claimed to have gotten permission from the New York court to provide. He then said that despite supposedly assurances from Wendy's guardian and her attorney that they would provide him with Wendy's bank records, they never materialized. So, by December 19th, after reportedly failing to get any further correspondence from Wendy's name, Kevin said he emailed the mediator and copied all parties addressing lack of transparency and bad faith in their lack of honesty in mediation. He kept trying to get in touch, but didn't hear back from Wendy's team about his request for her financial records. Finally, on February 8th, 2023, he got a letter from Wendy's lawyer saying that the guardian was only providing bank statements for the month of November and December of 2022. Kevin's argument was that when Wendy's bank first filed to start the guardianship proceedings, her Wells Fargo account was stacked with cash. So, from the moment her Wells Fargo accounts were frozen, Kevin says Wendy went from having money to being broke in just under a year. He thinks it's fishy that the cash disappeared so fast. Like I said, you might not be down with Kevin trying to get money from Wendy, but I bet you're also curious about what's happening with her funds. And, you know, this whole deal with Sabrina is shady, especially since she's got a history of her own drama, including an ongoing lawsuit where she's accused of swindling another client out of $30 million. It's like she drained Wendy dry too. At this point, the guardianship under Sabrina Morrissey, in place since 2022, has faced enough heat and debate online. Regina and everyone else are basically asking, where's Wendy? And why isn't anyone answering that question? Why can't they produce Wendy or give a real statement or even a picture? Where is Wendy Williams? Honestly, it's starting to look like they've got her hidden away somewhere. Drop your thoughts on this mess in the comments below.